everyone, it's Sal. Thank you so much for joining me here today with your free tarot seminar. I am so excited to be with you, and please, if you are joining me live, just pop a little comment so I can see who's with me, where you're from. If you're watching it on the replay, so if you're watching it on YouTube or on replay, you can just put hashtag replay and I'll be able to come back and answer your questions later. Now, those of you who haven't been with me before when I do these, this is one of my favourite things to do about being a teacher and having the blessings to be able to share with you my last nearly 2 decades of my journey with the tarot. And what I want to do is basically share with you what has been the most popular topics that have shown up on the Q&A board and in the Facebook group, and how to answer those. And I also want to share with you my latest competition where you can win a new free Sal Jade course. And there is an opportunity to ask me any questions you like about the tarot. If you're joining me live, can you just pop in now and say, hi, I'm here, or I'm with you, because I can't actually see if anyone's popping in live or not. And sometimes there's a technical thing and I have to go back and start all over again. So let me just see. I can't see any comments, so it might be that I have to go back in and start all over again, which is fine. Okay, if you are joining me live, just pop a quick comment in so I know. Otherwise, I'm going to have to shut down and start all over again. While I'm waiting for someone to comment, I will. Thank you, Marcy from New York. Thank you. At least I know you're with me. I once sat here for half an hour and thinking there were people with me and people just weren't commenting, and then found out that the thing had cut off. So thank you, Miriam. Thank you so much, Marcy. So what I like to do is I like to share with you these particular topics, and then if you've got questions you can ask me towards the end. So in today's, what we're going to explore is we're going to talk about health readings and why they can sometimes be complicated, and why undertaking to do a health reading with the tarot is actually not as simple as you think it might be. It's very different to all the other kinds of different questions that you can ask the tarot. And just a few tips on that as well. I'm also going to be sharing with you what are the best decks and the best spreads to use with particular readings, like love readings or health readings or particular specific theme questions. And I'm going to be sharing with you what to do or what it can mean if you've done a reading for someone and they come back to you a few days and said the total opposite happened. What's wrong with you, you bad, naughty tarot reader? So I want to share with you and rest assure you that sometimes there can be more going on behind the surface than you think. And I'm going to talk about divorce questions. It seems to be the month for divorce questions, and answer a few questions I've received during the month about divorce, and also widowing, and recognise which card represents a widow or a widower. And I'm going to share with you a bit more about my new course, How to Read Tarot Accurately When You're Someone Who Struggles to Remember the Cards. So I've just released that in the last 3 weeks. It's gone hot and new on Udemy, which I'm incredibly excited about, and thank you to everyone who has signed up. I'm already getting really positive feedback, and people are saying it's really helped them understand the cards when they're struggling to remember all the definitions. So if you're looking for something, if you find that that's one of your challenges, that you worry you don't have enough psychic abilities when you're reading the cards, or you sometimes freeze up and you just forget them, then that's just come out on Udemy as well. So I'll pop the link in here for that later. So, and I've got a competition where you can win a free course as well by signing up to that course. So to get started, I'd just like to thank the following wonderful people who have taken the time to review Tarot Card Success this month. I really appreciate you doing that. For those of you who don't know, and those of you who maybe are on social media and are trying to run your own businesses, sometimes the only way you can kind of keep going and building courses or doing readings is if people are obviously leaving a few comments and giving reviews. We are all about social proof these days, and that's part of succeeding when you're online. So to those of you who have taken that bit of extra time, and I know how busy you are, just to post a couple of comments about the course and reviewing it with Udemy, that really makes a huge difference to me. So thank you so much for that. Hello, Manuela from Croatia. So I bet you're nice and warm right now, unlike us in freezing cold Australia. So I'd like to just thank Priya Makani, Rebecca Smith, Chris Katz, Benita Vyas, and Nataza Stula for your lovely and kind and glowing reviews of Tarot Card Success. Thank you so much. And to anyone else who has also posted any kind of reviews on any of my courses this month, thank you. Hello, Savannah. So I'm just going to get started by talking about health readings. Now, this is such an interesting topic, and the reason I wanted to talk about it this month is because someone actually who was in my health readings course, so I have a separate health readings course, because for me personally, I don't recommend doing health readings when you are a complete beginner. You are not a doctor, you are, and especially if you've got very limited understanding of the cards, you are likely to end up in an incredible messy situation where you could really damage someone's mindset, like make them scared or afraid, or you could do something that could just freak yourself out, basically. Like, imagine, seeing a card and telling someone you think they've got pancreatic cancer or something. Like, that's, you're too inexperienced when you're early on in the game to be able to manage those kind of diagnoses. And the thing with health readings is they are very complicated, and you do need a bit of experience with the cards, understanding how it all slots into place. So that's why I had that separate course, which is called Master Health Readings and Psychic Wellness, for people who have finished Tarot Card Success and at least have a basic understanding of the cards. They've built up their confidence with other types of readings, and then they can go on to health readings. So that's what I recommend. Now, some of you might say, well, Sal, I picked up a tarot book, and it had the definitions of health readings in it. And again, that's fine. Okay, that's the definitions. But I'm just warning you in your own journey emotionally, but also to make sure you're ethically not doing any harm to others, that you be very, very cautious about undertaking health readings, and that you look at maybe some further study, or at least make sure you are super, super confident with the tarot before you go and embark on them, because they are very complicated. Hello, Leah. Now, so what happened is, those of you who have done my health readings course know that I go into a lot about which tarot card, like if you get a tarot card, you ask me about health and you get a spread, and I break it down for you and say what it could mean, like what kind of conditions or what's going on. What tarot readings with health cards are not always is that they are not a medical diagnosis, and it gets a bit confusing. Someone wrote to me and said, hey, I thought when I did this course, you were going to tell me that this card was going to mean they had pancreatic problems. Now, the problem with that approach, and it's a great approach, and there are cards that can represent the pancreas and represent the kidneys and represent the bladder. Definitely, 100% there are cards in there. And I am going to update the course with a bit more information about that, including what I'm sharing with you now. The problem is, and this is why you can tell you need to be beyond a beginner, is that especially when you're looking at it with the relationship with astrology, so people often do health readings connected to what the astrological sign is that's coming through. So for example, the head cards, so things like the Emperor, for example, and the King of Wands, they're the head cards. They can represent head problems. Some of them are very obvious, like for example, the Three of Swords can represent heart problems because it's got a picture of a heart and a big, or like an operation, things like that. So I talk about that in the course. There are some very obvious ones. But where it gets a bit tricky and where you've got to be careful is, let's say, for example, cards like the Hermit. And like there's the Hermit, which can represent the card of Virgo. Now you might think, okay, well that can also represent bladder problems. That's the correlation. And again, I'll talk about that, and I'm going to be putting more information about that in the course. The problem is it also represents nasal problems. And so it can be reproductive, it can be nasal, it can be bladder. What do you do if you pull one of those cards and you go, well, you might be having a problem coming up with your bladder, but it could be your nose. Now you're going to end up with a client who looks at you and goes, those are very different parts of the body. Please be clearer. I'm not going to really, I'm going away a bit nervous with all of this. They're not going to trust you if you are relying solely as a medical diagnosis on one card. It's really going to throw them, and it's going to throw you. So that kind of thing for me is very much about the psychic training that I talk about in that course. It's about going into your intuition. If a card like that comes up and then you hear bladder, or you feel it, or you get a visual and the card's there, then that's when I roll with that stuff. Or when I connect with my guides or my angels and I get messages and I tune into their energy, that's when I get the stuff. When you're using the tarot as what I call a straight reading, so straight reading is not doing any kind of channeling, no, it's just like just a straight looking at the cards only. it can be much trickier. And you can still do it, and I show you how to do it in my course, but you might not get those individual diagnoses that some of you are hoping that you're going to get. You will get what's going on in their health on a metaphysical level and what they need to do and what their struggles are, what can be causing it. Like it can be financial stress, it can be a person, it can be all this other stuff, but you might not necessarily get what you would go if you were going to go and get an ultrasound. So you just keep that in mind. And the same thing goes with in there I took that there's a whole section on pregnancy too and fertility readings. And again, people often ask me about pregnancy readings, and I recommend doing that course because I talk about the complications with fertility and how you can really damage people if you're not taking time to think about, well, this card means this or that card means that. It doesn't always mean what you think it might mean. Just because some tarot card reader on YouTube said it doesn't mean 100% that it is it. I'm going to go into that a bit more later because most cards have multiple interpretations, so you've got to be careful with that. So I hope that helps for those of you who are gotten a bit confused about the health readings thing before. Do be a bit more considerate. Do intend to study further. If not me, then study through someone else, but just think that at beginning level, you probably don't want to be doing health readings. It's something that can be quite scary and it can be quite dangerous, and you can end up in a little bit of trouble doing it as well, and losing your confidence as well. So I hope that's helped. And those of you who are in the health readings course already, that higher level course, I'm about to go away for 2 weeks on holiday, but when I get back, I'm going to upgrade it with a bit more of, again, like what the kidneys, which cards represent the kidneys, which cards represent the bladder and the liver, etc., etc. That does exist, but keep in mind they are multiple interpretations. So you still might need to be calling in some of those intuitive gifts to really get that feeling for it as well. Hello, Esme, how are you? So I hope that's made sense. And again, if you've got questions, pop them in and I can answer them at the end. Now, one question we've been getting a lot, twice actually in the last few days, is which spreads should I use for particular types of readings? So what spread should I use for love readings? And what spread should I use for career readings? Now, what spread should I use for health readings? Now, first of all, those of you, I've mentioned this before, so I'm sorry to repeat myself. In my 3 intermediate level courses, there is a free lecture that you can access. You don't even need to buy the course if you're not ready to study another course yet, that says all the spreads and decks that I use with those particular niches. So what I use with careers, what I use with spreads, that kind of thing. So all the decks that I use with those. So if you're looking for decks for career readings, if you're looking decks for love readings, if you're looking decks for health readings, I have them. They're free. You can go into Udemy and you just have to go in there and access it. It's on the preview free. The course isn't free, obviously, but that particular lecture is. Now, when it comes to spreads, that's a bit different. I'll be very honest with you. In the beginning, please don't overcomplicate, and I speak about this in these higher level courses, please don't overcomplicate your lives by trying to learn too many spreads all at once. And I'm going to give you a really good real life example that happened in the last 48 hours to me about why this is so important. So the lovely Melissa Hurd, very active member of this group, she's been in it for a long time, very experienced at what she does. She posted a fantastic spread and it looked really interesting, and she said it was really accurate, and I got excited, and I don't often use new spreads, but I just, something in me went, yep, try this spread. And I ran off and it's in this group somewhere. I ran off and I tried it, and I was like, bang, bang, bang. I was like, oh wow, this is a great spread. However, there was one position that I just got stuck on, and it was, where can I go for support? Where can I go for help? And I pulled a couple of cards for it. I pulled the strength card, and I was a bit like, well, what does that mean? Because when I hear the word where, I think of a physical location or a person and it really took me a while to get my head around it. And I finally went, oh, okay, so where in that case, I guess, means going in and finding my own internal courage. So it's kind of like, what do I need to do to get help? Would probably be a bit better way of putting it than where. Because when I start saying where, I'm like, what, as a Japan, my mum, like, where do I go? Where, a counsellor? That can be and this is one thing I don't like about lots of experimental spreads, is you've got to make sure, if you're doing an experimental spread that is not one of the traditional horseshoes or the Celtic crosses, you've got to make sure that every single card in the tarot will fit one of those positions. And that's a big ask. You've got to sit there and go, Okay, well, would the Four of Swords fit that position? What would it mean in that position? Would the Nine of Pentacles fit that? Would the King of Swords fit that? Would the Emperor fit that? Like, they have to fit. Otherwise, you're asking for a whole lot of trouble. And sometimes, and don't get me wrong, I love that people are putting lots of spreads out there. I love that there is, hundreds of thousands of new readers on YouTube that are spreading the word of tarot and that are showing spreads. I think it's fantastic. However, a lot of these are a little bit untried. And what I mean by, I'm not criticizing them, I'm just saying if you're a beginner and you see a spread on Instagram or on YouTube or on Facebook and you go, oh, I'm going to rush up and do that. And then you go and spread all the cards and then you go, I've got no idea. That's really confusing me. You're going to lose your confidence. And I really don't want you to do that so early in the game. You're going to think that there's something wrong with you, that you're not getting it, or that tarot is not for you. And so to me, learning big, lots of multiple spreads too early is just a distraction. It's something that's going to take you off your beautiful learning journey. I'm not saying never add lots of different spreads in. I'm just saying that while you are learning, really get comfortable nailing the Celtic cross, nailing the horseshoe, because every single card fits into those positions. And then once you feel like you've got that, then start thinking about other spreads. So as I said, there are a few others, and this might surprise some of you, with my close friends that are readers, professional readers for like 30, 40 years, 50 years, some of them, with them and with my own journey, I don't use any more than 10 spreads. Like, that's my maximum. I see these, 570 spreads on Google and I go, why would you do that to yourself? And if you find one that resonates, by all means use it. And so I'm not saying don't use lots of different spreads, but I will give you this piece of advice based on what happened to me in the last 48 hours. I'm an experienced reader, so it took me a while to get what that position meant, and I could tweak it in my head, and I got the message, and I felt excited, and I felt like the tarot had given me what I wanted, and the spread gave me what I needed. So that was perfect. However, I'm still, before I rush out and use it on people or ask permission to use it in one of my courses or start advertising it or encouraging it, I want to make sure that spread comes true. Okay, so I want to make sure that it's really not just accurate, but that it unfolds. And what I kind of see, it's become a little bit like psychic shopping, like going to 10 different readers and asking the same question. What I'm seeing a lot with the spread of so much on YouTube and Facebook and Insta is that people who are just learning tarot are just grabbing and grabbing and grabbing as so much information and getting so overwhelmed, and then they're just moving on to the next thing and then moving on to the next thing and then sharing, oh, check out this spread, check out this spread, check out this spread. But they're not actually trying it themselves and letting time pass. So allow 2 months pass. The reason I know that the horseshoe and the Celtic cross work for me is because I've used them and I've allowed time to pass to see how they've unfolded. I've gone back and reflected and see that's how that worked in my life, and that's what that means. But when we're so overwhelmed by so many different things and we're such in a quick, fast-paced universe right now, we're just burning through them almost. So please, if you see a new spread and you're someone who's new, just approach it cautiously. Like, do it first yourself, like I did with that one. And then I'm going to wait about 6 weeks. And if I feel like that's really unfolded the way that spread went out, then I will start to use it. But I wouldn't rush in before then, is my advice. I would start to just see how it unfolds. So I hope that's helped for anyone who is, thinking, do I have to learn all these spreads? And I saw this spread. Just stick to the basics until you feel confident, and then start gently bringing them in. And some of them won't resonate with you, and that's fine. You don't have to learn every spread in the universe. So I hope that's helped everyone. And again, if you've got any questions, please pop them in. So I just want to check everyone's still with me. Esme and Leah, can you just, if you're here, can you just pop? I just want to see that it's still going, because I haven't seen any comments for a while, which might mean my internet's gone a bit funny. It's school holidays here in Australia, which means that people around are using lots of internet. Thank you. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I think someone said good evening from California. Yes, thank you, Esme. If someone could just pop, yep, still here, just so I know that the internet is still working, and my apologies for all these technical things. Those of you who live in Australia know that our internet is not very good at the best of times. So I'm going to move on now and talk a little bit about what happens when you get a reading that is the opposite to what you have intended. So what happens when you get a reading and someone comes back to you a few days later and says that didn't happen. Savannah, thank you, Marcy, thanks guys. So what happened? So in the Facebook group a little while ago, a lady mentioned, thank you Manuela, that Esme said that makes so much sense. Every time I see a new spread, I try it and then I seem confused. Yes, like approach new spreads really, really cautiously, and maybe do a little one. Don't ask a question that's life or death, and just sort of see how it plays out. Just be curious, but don't be feeling like you have to nail it straight away, basically. So what had happened in this particular situation was that this person had done a reading for someone, and they were asking about a particular guy, a specific person, and the cards all came back really positive. And then she tootled off to have a date, or tootled off and whatever, and it ended up being a really negative situation, and it wasn't positive, and the guy didn't seem very interested at all. What does this mean when this happens? Now, the first thing I will say, and again, I'm sorry if I repeat, if you've heard me say this before, I do have a love readings that focuses about how to ask about specific people and why it can be complicated. It's called Love Readings, Give Psychic Love Readings with Ease, and I highly recommend it if you're getting a lot of questions like when will I get married, or what's going to happen in my relationship with John, and because the problem with especially modern day dating, it's very different to when the tarot was created. So sometimes you need to go into a bit more details if you're a beginner in particular, and you're not recognizing what's going on with the cards. Because sometimes people might come to you for a love reading, and it might be someone they have swiped on Tinder. Now they might be feeling positive, and the guy at the time might be responding positive. So there's a positive vibe going on. But we have free will, and we change, and things come in. So it might be that maybe the guy was feeling positive and he was excited about her, and he thought, yeah, okay, I like her, let's go on a date. And maybe the night before the date he met someone else, or maybe something else happened to him and he had a fight with his mother, or we don't know the role that destiny comes and interacts with us, and that tapestry and free will. And it's really important to keep asking, and I'm sorry for those who've heard me say this 1,000 times, what do I need to know about this date? That's the question, because that's what you're most interested in. Don't ask the future of it, because the future changes, the universe constantly shifts, but also things are so, like, relationships are so ridiculously complicated. Like, over 60% of the questions you'll get asked as a tarot reader will be about relationships, and they're so complicated because if you think about your own romantic life or your friends, think about relationships where they liked each other from afar, and then one didn't like one, and then they maybe got together and slept together, and then they kind of broke up and were seeing other people, and then they kind of had a one-night stand with each other, and they didn't see each other for 3 months, and then they fell in love, and then one of them got married, and then 3 years later they got back together. And you might go, but that stuff happens. Like, we see this. It's not just Netflix series. Like, I think about my friendships and my girlfriends and their relationships, and I think about my own relationships. Like, there isn't been one relationship I've ever had, except for very short-term ones, that have been straightforward. Like, so maybe things will be positive. Maybe her and that guy will one day have a future together, but maybe not now. Or maybe it might be, again, that there was all this positive energy and that the tarot was picking up on that. So continually think, okay, this is not a fortune telling tool. I just want to see what I need to know, if this is the right thing for me to be doing. Should I pursue this? That's a better question. Not the yes, no, but what do I need to know about pursuing this? Rather than what will happen, that kind of thing. Because you're asking to get tangled up in destiny's kind of wicked web, basically, if you're only going to focus on that fortune telling stuff, because that's not what the tarot is intended for. It's intended to navigate you through complicated situations. So I hope that helps those of you who have had that happen. I do have a free video also on my YouTube channel called How to Overcome Cloudy Readings, because sometimes it might be the reader. Yes, it might be the reader at fault. The reader might have had a bad interference, or there might be something going on. It could be noise, it could be picking up on someone else's energy. So it could be that. And if it's happened to you a lot, it might mean you've got a block. But if it's just a one-off, it could be that, again, there could be a complicated situation involved when the opposite has happened. But something I recommend, and I talk about this a lot in the Love Readings course, is please don't be afraid to ask how that person feels about this person. Like, people get worried and go, well, I'm not really a psychic if I ask any questions of my clients. But you are much better knowing that this person is just someone they swiped last night on Tinder, as opposed to someone they've been dating that they work with for 3 months and but intend on marrying. Like, that's two very different readings. And you're asking a lot of the tarot to try to get so much out of that, unless you've already got very strong psychic gifts, to get a lot out of the tarot, because cards won't always reveal how that journey's going to unfold. There's too many cards, it'd be like a 50 card reading. So think about going, okay, if someone says, what do I need to know about Terry? Or someone says, I want to know if Terry and I, is he, and ask a question about Terry. And then say, okay, cool, let's do this. We'll ask, what do I need to know about my relationship with Terry, or pursuing a relationship? Is Terry, how do you feel about Terry? Get a gist on what they're going with Terry. And they might say, oh, I don't know, like my sister mentioned that she wanted to set us up on a blind date. And I'm like, oh, wasn't my, like, that's hasn't even met Terry. So you've got to be like, okay, you're not digging by saying, how do you feel? Like, I want to know what you want out of this reading. I want to know how you feel about Terry. And especially because, and this is what often happens with love, not often, but sometimes with love readings, which kind of, again, bewilders me. It's why I'm not a fan of free readings, by the way, too, because people just kind of tend to waste questions on this kind of stuff. If they're paying for it, they want a serious question. That the whole idea of, you're not even that interested in this guy, but you're just like, well, maybe I'll just get a reading about him, but you don't even really like him. So that kind of stuff. Try to focus it back on them. What is it? Okay, so how do you feel about Terry? I'm going to go in there. So what do I need to know about marrying Terry? Is that what you want from him? Or what do I need to know about dating him? And that's not cheating. It's actually just getting them to really think about why they're asking the question. And it's also so they're not tricking you, or they're not trying to be, again, someone that they just saw and they haven't even swiped. Like, they might have seen 10 people on Tinder and they're coming to you and say, should I swipe this person or whatever? So if I'm getting the language wrong about Tinder, by the way, I am sorry. I've never actually been on Tinder. Like, when I was internet dating, it was 15 years ago and Tinder wasn't in the game. But so if you are struggling with love readings, I do suggest doing that love readings course. But again, if something's, no matter what it is, if it's career, if it's something that comes out opposite, think it could be destiny, it could be positivity, or it might mean that maybe the situation just isn't deep enough or warranted enough for the tarot to be kind of taking it seriously. So I hope that helps, if that's ever happened to you. And again, there's a free video for you on my YouTube channel about overcoming cloudy readings. That can also identify more things that go below the surface about why things can sometimes not be clear, or why they go opposite as well. Now, let's go into divorce questions. I've had a couple of these this week. Now, the first one was actually an ethical question that somebody asked me, and they asked me about how to deal with the ethical thing if someone asked you, is he divorced? Now, I've spoken quite at length in Tarot Card Success about asking questions about people when it's not really your business, and how I'm not a fan of that. It's not my favourite thing to do. Spying on people is not my favourite thing to do. I would be better off asking, like, again, that question that stumped me a bit, because again, it is a bit ethically spying. Is he divorced? Why don't you just ask him, would be my question. Like, ask, well, is he divorced? Like, and also the idea of divorce, like, is he separated? Is he still emotionally involved? I mean, someone might be divorced, but they still might be in love with their ex, and they might, share children and maybe get back together. It's a really tricky one. Again, I say this with the love readings. What is the big game? What does your client want? Are they interested in this person for a long-term thing? Like, are they like, I really want to know about this person? So ask about the future of your relationship with this person. What do I need to know about having a relationship with Barry or John or Frida or Sarah? What do I need to know? Instead of those sneaky little, is he divorced and is he this or is he that? Ask about the potential of a future relationship with him, because even if he isn't divorced, he could still be your amazing soulmate. That might just happen down the track. What you want is the bigger picture stuff. Don't focus on the stuff that's spying and it's a little bit manipulative and it's stuff that's kind of done behind people's backs. Instead, just be transparent and either ask people Or if you're like, you don't want to ask, or you don't feel comfortable asking, or you're not sure if they're lying to you, ask about what is the future with my relationship with this person. Is it best for me right now, in this point in time, to pursue this relationship? And that is, for me, a much better asking than the ethics of is he divorced? Because really, you shouldn't be asking those spying questions about people unless you're actually married to them. I guess you know if you're married to them, if they're divorced or not. You'll know. So I hope that's helped with that one. And now the second one was the when will I get divorced? Now I've spoken in depth about time frames in quite in depth about it. And the love readings course also covers this about the questions about divorce and looking at court cases and how they show up. And the career readings course that I have talks about how to get specific time. But can I just say in the beginning, please stick to the times that are in the Celtic Cross and in the Horseshoe. So the next 3 months and the next 6 to 12 months, or 3 to 12 months up to 15 months. Because when will I get divorced, for me, is more of a psychic question, because it could be 3 years. And that stuff doesn't often show up in the tarot because, again, the universe is shifting. And so for me, you might ask, what do I need to know about getting divorced in the next 12 months? And now this is where it gets confusing. So you could get things like the Justice card, which is about, court cases and all that kind of thing. And, the King of Swords, which represents lawyers. So that stuff could come in to indicate, yes, contracts being signed. But this is what's so interesting about the tarot. Cards can show up that represent, basically, you need to understand how your client's feeling about it. They might be excited about, so say they want to get divorced, right? That's something they're over this, it's been dragging on, they just want to be divorced. Then it's probably important that you know that up front, because if you get a positive card that says, yes, your divorce will go through in the next 12 months, that's a positive. If they don't want to get divorced and it's like they're hanging on or they want to get back together, then again, you can see the confusion. Like they get a positive card. Oh, no, you're not going to get divorced. So as you can see, it's tricky and complex. So approach those questions quite carefully. Be really open-minded about trying to explore how your client feels about getting divorced. Like the when will I get divorced? Again, and you don't have to be digging. You can be like, okay, so how long have you been trying to get divorced? And that will tell you, oh, I don't. I'm just worried we're going to get divorced. Okay, that's a different question. That's a totally different question, because that is are we going to get divorced, or are we going to separate? Are we going to, etc., etc.? So I hope that helps a little bit with clarifying that. You can see how it gets very tricky, some of those questions. And again, with the when, the tarot doesn't have a very strong when time frame. It has much more general ones. You can get like specific ones that I talk about, as I said, in the career readings course, about which represent certain months. But what month? What if you get August? And August could be 3 years or 2 years. Divorces can take a long time to go through. So approach all that stuff with caution. What do I need to know about getting divorced? That's the most important thing. What do I need to know? Because that shows you the journey. And if there's things like grief, or again, if you start seeing the Justice card, or you start seeing legal proceedings, then you'll know, okay, yeah, it's happening quite soon. If you don't see them, they could indicate, no, it's going to drag on for quite a while. So I hope that's helped. Now, interesting. First one time I've ever had this in all my nearly 15 years of teaching. Nothing better than a fresh new question. I got asked which card represents a widow or a widower. And so from my understanding, it's always been the reversed Queen of Swords represents that. But now again, there's no simple answers from Sal today. I'm sorry. I wish I could just say that's the card, move on. But the reason I'm adding the disclaimer here is think about, so yeah, there are tarot readers who say the Queen of Swords or the Queen of Swords reversed means a widower, or someone who is. Now, for me, the Queen of Swords reversed can definitely represent someone who's had to deal with a lot of grief and had to deal with a lot of trying to make sense of the world, which is what happens when, sorry, did I say widow? Yeah. gone into widowing and divorcing. When the person you love passes away, then obviously, you're going to struggle to get upright again. You're going to struggle to get back on your feet, and the whole world will seem topsy-turvy, and your thoughts may really struggle to have clarity and to make sense about the world. So on that level, the Queen of Swords reversed can represent a widower or a widow. However, again, which context are you trying to find out this answer is why I've never really talked about it before, because someone might be going, okay, I'm asking a question about, I'm single, I want to know, when will I meet someone, or, about my next partner, and you pulled a reverse Queen of Swords. You might go, okay, it could be a widower, but it also could be someone who has just got their life turned upside down, is not thinking straight. It could be someone who also is, like, as I said, it could be someone who hasn't got enough clarity. They're struggling to get their life upright. They could be someone who's experienced a lot of grief and loss and disappointment in their life. A lot of that Three of Swords stuff. They could be someone who has had that. So then you say to me, well, Sal, how do I know if that's a widow or a widower? Or how do I know if that is an actual, just a person, like a man or a woman who is just upside down in their thoughts and has experienced lots of grief and loss in their life? And again, it could be that their parents died young. So this is why I don't like to put specific cards that symbolize things, because all the cards have multiple interpretations, like I talked about earlier, and you're asking for a lot of trouble as a tarot reader, in my personal opinion, if you're going to start using that as a fail-safe method with no psychic gifts or no double confirmation. Now, what do I mean by that? So double confirmation is maybe you pulled, if you're asking, okay, is this a widower? And then maybe you pull the grief card, or if you're asking, so for me, if I was going to see a person and I was going to ask more information about this person and I got the grief card, the Five of Cups, or the Three of Swords, I would say this is someone who has experienced a lot of grief in their lives. This is someone who has experienced, loss, a great loss. And you might say, well, Sal, you're really vague. And my psychic gifts, so that in terms of connecting with my guides, and they would often step in and fill in more of that information. The cards for me, the tarot, don't, because there are multiple interpretations. And so it's up to you, the reader, to decide. So I know that you might say, Sally, you've lost me, but that's why it is a bit complex, and I don't recommend jumping and leaping on what every single person says. Oh, this means that it's a widower. It's like, well, yeah, but it could also mean this. So make sure in your gut and in your feeling center, and if you're someone who connects with your intuition, like if you I feel like this is saying you're going to meet a widower, then yes, go with that. But if you're not sure, it could be someone who has lost. It could be a widower. That's just my personal opinion. As I said, other old school readers or other YouTube readers might say, yeah, no, 100%, it's always going to be a widower. To me, I wouldn't take that approach personally in my readings. Again, I always say, take what works. Try it yourself. Like, if a upside down Queen of Swords comes up in one of your readings, then tell the person. And you feel it's right, then tell the person, and then see if it comes true. Like, trial and error is kind of the good way to go with this stuff. But yeah, so that's my feeling. It's if you were going to ask me what is one card that represents a widow or a widower, I would say the reversed Queen of Swords. However, be cautious in your use of using it in your readings, because it can also mean something else as well. Again, when you're communicating, you say, oh, there's someone around you, they could be widowed, that kind of thing. I'm on board with using that. But to say 100% that it's a widower, unless my intuition's screaming it, I won't always do that. So I hope that's helped, my loves. I know that was a little bit, it's all complicated today. There's not many I want a simple one, something simple. I'm just going to quickly, so I hope that's helped everyone who's come along and given you some more insights into how to give health readings, how to ask divorce questions, what cards can represent divorce, things like, as I said, the Three of Swords, the Five of Cups, those kind of grief cards, but also the King of Swords and the Justice card, like legal contracts being signed. And so I'm running a competition. So those of you, as I mentioned earlier, I have just released a course for those of you who really struggle to remember what the tarot card definitions are. It's for those of you, and the reason I created this course is because some of you might say, well, so why didn't you just add this into Tarot Card Success, or why didn't you teach this when you released Tarot Card Success 7 years ago? Because what's happened, and in the nature of the way we operate right now in our brains, is that so once upon a time we used to say this, that person's got the memory of a goldfish, and that was kind of a joke, but they've actually recently proven that some human beings are now having even less retention than a goldfish, because we're so fragmented. We're constantly looking, like, even the news isn't just the news anymore. It's like the news, and then what someone said on Twitter, and then interviewing someone, and then 5 other news stories at the bottom. And so this overwhelm of information is making it really hard for that beautiful memory of ours to actually keep stuff in there. It's like so much coming in, and it almost feels like other stuff's kind of falling out. So, which isn't really happening, but that's what it can feel like. And so I created this course for people who, because I'm noticing more and more that people are really struggling to remember what's going on, because, as I said, there's so much else going on in the world. And so this course will give you 5 quick look strategies where you can see what's going on for your client in under 2 minutes. So in under 2 minutes, you'll be able to know what's going on for them. Even if you struggle to doubt your intuition, even if you're someone who has forgotten what a card means, or even if you're someone who is still kind of even learning, and you can't remember all the cards. So you'll get that with that. And there's also a tarot planner workbook. It's like full of practical tools that will help you. It's the first time I've ever offered a workbook with any of my courses, and it will help you with your ability to just go in and navigate that tarot more intuitively, even when you doubt your intuition, but also to get those quick looks. So to understand, okay, this is what's going on, even if you're nervous, even if you're frozen, even if you're worried you're not psychic enough. So it's on Udemy, that course. I'll pop the link in here. For those of you watching this on YouTube, I'll put it in the description. Just been released in the last 3 weeks. Very excited about it so far. Lots of positive feedback so far. So thank you to everyone who's posted really positive reviews on that. So I'm running a competition where, now actually originally it was just a competition that if you finish the course by the 1st of August, you'll get another one of my free Udemy courses. Now I've actually decided I'm going to give you 2 chances. So if you enroll in the course by the 1st of August, or if you enroll and finish the course, you will get 2 chances to win. So if you enroll in the course, you'll get 1 chance. You'll go in 1 competition where I'm giving away 10 free courses. If you enroll and finish, you'll get the chance to win 2 free courses. So I'm going to pop that in. There is a link in here somewhere that shares about it, but all you have to do is send a screenshot of your receipt to team@saljade.com. And if you've completed the certificate, if you want to enter twice, then team@saljade.com as well. Esme, I finished this course last week, and oh my God, it's completely changed my confidence in connecting the cards. Thank you. I'm so glad. It took me 6 months to make, which usually a course these days will take me 3 months. And I didn't think it was going to be that, but it's like along the way, there was just this incredible divine guidance of just going deeper and deeper and deeper. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. And I've been finding a lot of people who tell me they struggle a lot with just how to put the connections together with the cards, have really found it's helped them. So thank you, Esme, for that. And as I said, if you want to sign up this month, you get a chance to win another free course as well. So that's a great opportunity to do that. So all you have to do is just sign up, send a copy of your receipt to team@saljade.com. And if you want to win 2 courses, finish it by the 1st of August. So if anyone got any questions, just pop them in here. I am going to be away from next Tuesday for 2 weeks. So there will be, the wonderful Francine will be in here moderating and taking care of the group if you're in the Facebook group. What I do is I usually go away for 7 days, and then I'll pop back into the Q&A board, answer questions for a couple of days, and then come back again. So you'll never be without me for more than 7 days. Manuela, it was a great course. I needed to see that I'm going in the right direction. Thank you so much, Manuela. I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and it makes my heart sing to hear that. I love it. Thank you. So if anyone's got any questions about anything I asked today, so anything I talked about with the divorce readings or the widow question or the health or the spreads and the decks, I'll do a quick recap for you. If you those of you in the Master Health Readings course, I'm going to do an upgrade when I get back where I'm going to connect just a little bit more of that medical diagnosis. But again, I do that in the course. I show you how to do that, but I'm going to do it with the cards on another level. So it's just like another additional bonus. So I will put that in there. But again, always exercise caution when you do it because it can have multiple interpretations. Spread, if you want to know which decks are best for which questions, all my intermediate level course, the Master Health Readings course, the How to Give Career Readings and Life Purpose Readings course, and the Love Readings course have free preview lectures that you can access that say which decks I use for which ones. For spreads, as I said, I mostly just stick to my old favourites. But if you want to try a new one, please make sure you try it on yourself first. Ask quite a few different questions and wait a few months before you start using it with clients. And if you are a beginner, make sure you feel much more confident with the horseshoe and the Celtic cross before taking on new spreads is my general advice. And yeah, divorce and widow questions, I answered that here too. And there's a competition going on how to on that you can win by signing up to my new course. So if anyone's got any questions, pop them here. Otherwise, I will pop in later in the day and look for things. Just pop hashtag replay. Thank you to Manuela and Esme and Savannah and Marcy and Leah and Miriam and anyone else who popped along today to join me live. Thank you so much. And I look forward to helping you more and more throughout the next few months. Mwah.